What if the history you were taught wasn't the full truth? I, for one, felt shocked and lied to once I learned the truth. And after learning from a professor and doing my own research, I feel like the issue needs to be addressed. American schools need to stop whitewashing history, and we need to set up laws so that people in the future do not deny or change our American history. Now, a question comes to mind when bringing up this subject. How are American schools changing our history? Well, let's take Christopher Columbus for an example. We all thought he was a great guy, sailed the ocean blue in 1492 and discovered America. That's how I felt. And I thought he was a hero. But in Howard Zinn's book, A People History of the United States, he discusses the brutality of Columbus's expeditions. He enslaved natives and committed genocide on them. His expeditions were fueled by the bloodshed of innocents. After speaking with Professor Lydia Harris, who is a dual enrollment history professor at MTSU, she says that, quote, students feel shocked that one of their heroes was a murderer and they feel lied to by their teachers their whole life, end quote. Now, that isn't the only issue. Whitewashing of Black history in schools is also another big issue. As David Icard states in his TED Talk entitled The Dangers of Whitewashing Black History, he discusses that his own son was taught the wrong history of Rosa Parks. And after reading her autobiography, he retaught the history of Rosa Parks to his teacher and his class for a public speaking project. Now, in a perfect world, a young boy should not be correcting his teacher on the history of Rosa Parks. We should all know her story because she is such an important character in the civil rights movement. But alas, it still happened. And yet again, in Howard Zinn's books, as well as Anthony Arnault's book entitled Voices of a People's History of the United States, they give a first-hand account of the inhuman acts of the slave trade. And during a class in Professor Harris's studies, I participated in a discussion on this chapter with her students. Many of them had to stop reading because they felt horrible of the terrible descriptions of how these people were being enslaved and taken away. Some of them felt lied to because they did not know almost anything about the slave trade, even saying that was a footnote in their Civil War history and nothing more. Now, with all of these issues said, how should we fix this problem? Well, it might be a bit simpler than we first imagined. We need to make a law or set of laws that make it illegal to deny or change our history. And we even have a perfect example of a country who has already done this. Germany has done a great job at this with the Holocaust. As Professor Michael J. Blazer explains in his essay on the topic, Germany has a set of laws in place that make it so it's illegal to deny the technical issues of the Holocaust as well as play down the genocide of what took place. Later, more European countries took on this responsibility and made it illegal to deny or dumb down the Holocaust and all of the issues and atrocities that happened. Even America, even though we did not set up a law, we decided to express and teach what happened and show how awful it was. And we can do the same with our history and the atrocities that we have done in ours. Now, with the Committee of Education, we could get a law or a set of laws passed. And as Craig explains in his crash course on government entitled Congressional Committees, committees are created by Congress to become more experienced at a topic and bring solutions to issues to Congress after being discussed in their separate committees first. So if we could get a hearing with the Committee of Education, they could discuss the issue and we can figure out a compromise and set laws so that we can get the history that we need to know. With the protection of our history, we can teach later generations what we did not learn until we got into college or late high school. And it will show a more promising future than we could ever do. In conclusion, the American public school system needs to stop whitewashing their history. From the brutality of Columbus to the strong Rosa Parks. And the best way to stop this in the future is with the passing of law or set of laws to refuse the denial of teaching the true history. As the next generation grows up, will we give them the necessary tools to succeed for learning history? Or will we hide our truths again and again and make them destined to repeat our history?